Greetings all, this is Nick from Those Hairy Gamers, back to talk about a bit more Magic the Gathering. Justin, how you going?
I'm doing excellent.
Awesome, we're doing a deck tech today.
Woo!
We're like all those other Magic YouTubers, except this is very significant for me because it's my first standard deck.
It was about time.
Yeah, it's
Needed
about
to
time.
happen.
I joined a league with Justin and I got the bug and I'm like, oop, yep, I'm playing standard. This is awesome. So, the deck we have is Anointed Cats. As you might have guessed, it's a cat tribal with Anointed Procession.
And it works really well.
Thank you very much. So, as I said, 4 copies of Anointed Procession.
Fairly important. So
Cost 4. If an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many of those tokens instead. Very powerful, very powerful. Now, I've seen a lot of Anointed Procession based creature decks around, but I've never seen other ones that are specifically cat based.
Okay.
So I think I may have stumbled across something quite cool. So here's my base of cats. I have a full play set of Sacred Cat, which is a 1-cost 1/1 lifelink and embalms for 1. Pretty straightforward. We have a full play set of Adorned Pouncer. This is a 2-cost 1/1 double strike, and it eternalizes, as in creates a 4/4 zombie version of itself for 3 and 2 white. We have a full play set of Pride Sovereign, pretty awesome cat lord, costs 3, and is a 2/2 but gets +1/+1 for each other cat you control. It also has the activated ability White, tap and exert Pride Sovereign. Create 2 1/1 white cat tokens with lifelink. You're seeing a theme here, Justin.
I think the theme is cats.
The theme is cat tokens, actually. And the Regal Caracol costs 3 and 2 white. Other cats you control get +1/+1 and have lifelink. When it enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 white cat tokens with lifelink.
He's dirty.
So that is the cat base. Only 4 of them, but a full play set of each. And they all create tokens. That's the whole point. All of these cards are procced off the back of this. The last creature we have here is a full play set of Metallic Mimic. And basically, as this enters the battlefield, you pick a creature type. And then whenever you play one of those creature types, it comes into play with a +1/+1 token. Because the deck is 100% tribal, that means every creature after this one comes into play with a token. Hopefully more if you happen to have multiple copies of this on the table.
Which you've done to me, and I didn't like it.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
So basically, these guys create a lot of tokens, and those guys boost all those tokens. It's go wide and go big, and it works fantastically. The non-creature and Anointed Procession-based cards we have is 3 copies of Ajani Unyielding. This is just to try and close out the game if we get to 6 mana. The guy's friggin' ridiculous. His basic +2 ability alone reveals the top 3 cards of your library. Put all non-land permanent cards revealed this way into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any other order. To be honest, most of the time when I play him, I only use that ability. Because it gets out all the play pieces, it gets me my cats, it gets me my Anointed Processions, and that's all I need to make this deck work. It's pretty much all he needs. He has a removal effect for -2, exile target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. The life gain's a bit of a pain, but the awesome thing is I can just remove something. If I just have that one creature on my opponent's field, just get rid of it, swing all my cats, have a good time. Oh, and of course, his ult. -9, put 5 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control and 5 loyalty counters on every other Planewalker. I don't have any other Planeswalkers in this deck. Doesn't matter. It's a massive, massive boost.
It's +5 to all your creatures. You're
That's
going
right.
to win the game.
I'm going to win the game. And if I've got a Ajani out and I get to his ult, I should have a massive, massive amount of cats on the field. If I don't, the deck's not working for me.
Yeah.
So apart from that, we have one more enchantment. 3 copies of Always Watching. Now this one's a bit interesting because it doesn't boost my token creatures, as in non-token creatures you control get +1/+1 and have vigilance. But it is still interesting. A lot of the cat lords are non-token creatures. In fact, all the cat lords are non-token creatures. Pride Sovereign has an ability that requires him to tap. So if he doesn't have vigilance, it means he can't use his ability and attack. With this, it means he can attack and then tap as a combat trick to get 2 more cat tokens and boost himself. So it's quite cool. It's not an amazing card in this deck. There are definitely stronger decks for Always Watching, but it still works quite well. It's always a good card, sometimes an amazing card. In this deck, it's just a good card. We also have 3 copies of Collective Effort, an amazing white card in any Super Go Wide deck. It cost 1 and 2 white, and it has choose one of the following with Escalate for tap and untapped creature you control. Destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. Destroy target enchantment. Put a +1/+1 counter on each one creature you control. All of those abilities really, really powerful. You generally want to do at least 2 of them. Doing 1 feels wasteful for 3 mana. It doesn't feel like it's getting the card's full effect. But it's really easy. You'll basically always have the ability to do as many of them as you like. It's just having the right targets to use it properly. We have 3 copies of Blossoming Defense, pretty straightforward. A nice little combat trick, and it also gives one of your creatures hexproof. If you need to protect that Cat Lord from removal or unsummon or something like that, this is a great way of dealing with that. Pretty straightforward. We have 3 copies of Synchronized Strike. It costs 3, untaps up to 2 target creatures and gives them +2/+2 to end a turn. Cool with Pride Sovereign because we can use his ability, then tap him again and just have all the shenanigans and do it twice in a row and just make all the cat tokens. But it's also great on defense. If you have 2 tap down cats, your opponent swings, you put up 2 of your cats and you block with them, and you're probably going to beat them because you've also given your cats +2/+2. Very nice defensive combat trick. So that is all our non-land cards. We also have 6 forests, 6 plains, 4 copies of Scattered Groves. It is a white and green land that comes in tapped, but you can cycle it for 2. Very great late game.
Yep.
We have 3 copies of Fortified Village. Comes into play tapped unless you reveal a plains or forest from your hand. Pretty good. I found having 4 of these in the deck meant they kept coming into play tapped, which is really annoying early game, so only 3. And the same deal with Canopy Vista. Not really an ideal card for this deck, but it needs the mana fixing to make sure we get things like Collective Effort and Always Watching working pretty early on. Obviously, this card is better in a 3 or more colour deck. It comes into play tapped unless you already have 2 basic lands. Thankfully, in Ixalan, we have the better version of that comes into play tapped unless you already have a plains or a forest. That is strictly better than this card in this deck. And there it is. That is the deck. Anointed Cats. And I have thoroughly made a mess on my desk. Oh, one fell off. There it is. What I particularly love about this deck is it is both a really powerful Anointed Procession deck and also a really powerful cat deck. You're getting both of those strategies really working for you quite heavily. There is no card in this deck which is bad in a cat tribal deck. And there is no card in this deck which is bad in a Go Wide Anointed Procession. I keep calling it Adorned Procession. There is no card in this deck that's bad in that strategy either. Last thing I have to show you guys is the sideboard. So in the sideboard we have a full play set of Prowling Serpapard because sometimes people play blue and it's just disgusting. It means you're switching out a cat that usually costs less than it. I always like to switch out the Adorned Pouncer for this guy. Take out the playset of the Adorned Pouncer and put in the playset of him. It means your deck's a bit slower overall, but against blue, that's okay. I can save my cats a little bit later to make sure this guy comes out first. And none of my cats can be counted then. And we're having a great time. 3 copies of Fragmentize, a nice basic sorcery from Kaladesh that gets rid of enchantments. And artifacts that cost 4 or less. Really powerful, really easy way of dismantling your opponent's board. 2 copies of Heroic Intervention gives all of your permanents hexproof and indestructible for a whole turn. Really good. If anyone plays Bontu's Last Reckoning, you just counter it with that and basically you win the game because they've tapped down 3 of their lands and they can't untap their lands. It's a massive swing in your favour. The only thing this doesn't work well against is Hour of Devastation, which strips indestructible for your permanents. So if you counter with this, they'll get indestructible, then immediately lose it again. However, Hour of Devastation cannot target enchantments. So I still have my Anointed Processions down. I still have my Always Watchings down. So I can rebuild pretty quickly and pretty powerfully. So it's not too bad. A couple of copies of Stasis Snare to get rid of a couple of annoying creatures. couple of copies of Cast Out to get rid of annoying creatures and other permanents. And if you're dealing with a lot of graveyard interaction, a couple of copies of Watch of the Dead, which just happen to be cats, which is always quite nice. Basically, you exile one of these guys, and then your opponent can choose up to 2 cards in their graveyard and exile the rest. It basically means if there's a lot of graveyard interaction, it's a problem. If they only need 1 or 2 cards in their graveyard, it's not fantastic, but it's still good, and it's a cat. It's a 2/2 cat for 2. That's fine.
In the end, it's still a cat.
That's right. So that's why it pretty much had to go in. That is the Graveyard Hate R line because it still has all the cat flavour. So yes, that is Anointed Cats, and that is a massive mess on my desk, which I have to clean up later. Anyway, guys, like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.
Bye.